Good morning. Again, this is Gloria Keith with Action Speaks. Today is July the 11th, 2012. And the time is now 10:07 a.m. Thank you again for joining us. And as before, I've been reading for your listening ear. Get it right. Excerpts from A Nation Deceived: How Schools Hold Back America's Brightest Students. And this was published in 2004 and by the authors of Nicholas Colangelo, Susan G. Assouline, Miraca U. Gross. Publication date was October 1st, 2004. And I've been reading some introduction to you, and I've also read for you some of the timeline of key dates in gifted and talented education. Now today we want to do something a little bit different. We have read to you from 1868 up to 1950, and there appears to be a gap between 1950 and 1954. But I want to actually fill in historical data into the time between 1952 and 54. And I want to talk to you about it. Let me share some experience. There was this little black girl born in Talladega, Alabama at the Citizen Hospital on May 28, 1952. This little black girl, unbeknown at the time, would be a very, very important part of gifted education history in America. She was born in 1952, and the earliest memories are since in 1954, actually, when she was 2 years old, and remembering, and I'm that little girl, I'm remembering back to 1954 when, of course, I had a mother, Effie Hunt. My father was Claude Hunt, and together they housed 9 children, and Gloria, namesake, was the 9th child. And as I go back in my memory, of course, you're going to see me close my eyes some, and that is to better recollect or recollect some of those memories during that age. So in 1954, I remember my oldest sister, Kat, actually reading the Bible to me and helping me to memorize the Lord's Prayer. I remember sitting on the sofa with her and being all happy and jolly about learning to read. I would sometimes get books and imitate or read from memory and imitate my sister Catherine and others of my siblings. I also remember a very dark time, and that was the time when my mother and my father separated. And I had no idea that this would be actually the separation for life as far as their marriage I remember sitting on my mother's lap on the porch of 806 Scott Street. As I sat there on the porch, I watched my dad walk down the steps, walking away from us, from our home. And this memory is as though it was just yesterday. My father has since then passed on, but I remember that. But there were a lot of jolly times, a lot of good times, where I would be nosy, so to speak, and I would ask my sisters and brothers to, if they're reading, I want them to teach me how to read. If they're cooking, I wanted them to teach me how to cook. I was always in the way of finding out as much as I possibly could to be like my sisters and my brothers, because it looked like they were having so much fun. So there you have it. A child born gifted. At that time, it was unknown, or, of course, I don't think my family was ever told about any gifted programs in the school system. I remember at age 4, I was taken to kindergarten, and when I shared some of the things, I wanted to share a lot of the things, or all the things my sisters and brothers had shared with me. I wanted to share them with my classmates. But when I did, I got kicked out of school, believe it or not. At 4 years old, I was actually kicked out of school. Of course, it was a delicate situation where my teacher put me in her car and took me home to my mom. Of course, my older sister was there. My mom was at work, but my older sister got in touch with my mom to come home because they needed to talk to Mrs. Simmons, was her name. She was a stout black woman, and her name was definitely Mrs. Simmons. I remember that also as if it was yesterday. I remember her standing on the porch and bringing me to the front door and telling them, asking for my mom, and then telling my mom that she needed to find somewhere else for me to go for this kindergarten year because I was very disturbing. I was disturbing and interrupting her teaching of other four-year-olds when she actually could have used my expertise or my knowledge, although little. She could have used me to help her teach the class of 4 years old. But instead, she thought it was absolutely necessary for me to be brought home and to tell my mom I need to stay at home or go somewhere else during this year and wait until school starts. So, there you have it. The first 4 years of my life. Gloria Jean Hunt is the name that I was born with. Thank you for listening, and we'll have more information for you at the next reading. That's simply an insert of my own life as a gifted child. Thank you. Action speaks.